Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Dojo Live. This is the recap show where we recap last week's live interviews with awesome CEOs and CTOs of technology companies that are shaping our future. Today is Monday, May 23rd. Can you believe it's almost the end of May already? Like it was
No.
May 1st, like a week ago. It's May 23rd, 2022. This is Tulio Sorgusa broadcasting from Southern California. And joining me is Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, and America Guerrero in Mexico City. Hey, guys, welcome back.
Thank you.
So we had a bit of a slow week last week. We only had one live show, a lot of reschedules. But
Yes.
we have a full week this week. We have 4 shows. But before we announce all 4 shows, let's recap what we had last week. We spoke with Zhong, who's the CEO of Deliverect, about the Foodtech industry, the future of digital food. No, we weren't talking about digital food. We were talking about the technology behind food, specifically food delivery. So we answer the question, how will restaurants adopt the ever-changing digital landscape, and how tech can help them keep control, increase their operational efficiencies, and profit margin. Great conversation. Learned a lot, for starters, about the restaurant industry, how dramatically they were impacted during the pandemic,
Right.
and how they've had to adopt technology. But it's gotten complicated. Operating a restaurant with multiple delivery platforms in the marketplace can get a little complicated. So let's see what we remember and recap that show. But for those of you watching who might have missed that show or any of our other 400 plus interviews, just go on dojo.live. That's the URL, dojo.live. All right. So what did you guys think of that interview? What did you guys think of that conversation?
Sure.
Just nice.
Sometimes less is more. For only having one show last week, I thought it was a really great show to compensate for that. I think the guest himself, Zhong, he was very impressive, referring back to his own history of being an immigrant child, and just how much food and restaurants tends to play such a big role in his life and the lives of people like his. And I thought that was really great. And just how he was able to marry technology into that is spectacular. And how he's able to grow a company. What was it? Something like 30 times growth in like 2 years or something insane. And just, kind of being in the right place at the right time. One of those companies that was positively impacted, I think, by the acceleration of their particular vertical with COVID. And I thought that was great. I love how they're utilizing technology to help small businesses and very large ones adapt to what needs to happen with this major shift of food delivery happening and orders happening online, and just how they're able to streamline that and put kind of multiple platforms all in one place for the operation itself, and then help operations with really unique ideas. One that I appreciated the most was this opt-out feature for like ketchup packets and mustard packets and plastic silverware and whatever else that might be, which obviously benefits the operation, less expense in having to purchase such items. I think speed and efficiency in being able to prepare people's meals without having to deal with such items. And also, personally, I appreciate the ecological impact of not having quite as much waste. So just an example of what technology is doing for businesses.
Yes, and most of the people who start this business in the restaurant industry, they don't know how to handle this kind of operation task. And this is something that he explained. Most of those who want to start this business are passionate about it. They are sometimes immigrants and they don't know how this works, and they need these tools. So the necessity is out there. And the transition, as you said, Kim, it's really interesting how back in 2017 or 18 there were business that they didn't want to have this transition. They thought that maybe having this online feature, it won't help because the food is going to get cold because of the transportation. So it's really interesting how he and his company is helping with this transformation.
I learned something new. Like, I could never figure out why certain restaurants have like 4 or 5 tablets all lined up. by the like front desk or where people take the phone call to place an order. And now I know every one of these platforms, whether it's Uber Eats or DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever, you have to have a dedicated terminal for that. So now you're managing all this different equipment, all this different content. And if you're a smaller restaurant, first of all, there's an expense to that. And second, it's like a maintenance thing. So they aggregate it all in one platform, which makes it a lot easier. And like you said, 50% of all orders are now online or through an app. So it's kind of the way things are going. So if you're a restaurant and you haven't adopted this technology, you're trying to simplify all the various platforms into one platform, that's the way to go. And I love this idea of opting out of certain things, like, the 100 packets of ketchup. You might as well take a handful of quarters and just throw them in the bag, because that's kind of what you're doing. It's waste. So it's nice to be able to have that. They give that added feature. So
yes,
it's good.
And it's increasing customer satisfaction, but then to your point too, it's also employee satisfaction. I mean, who wants to be the order taker that's got to try to juggle 4, 5, 6 different systems, tablets, orders? Of course, it's going to impact not only like.
And it makes you realize why sometimes you end up with the wrong order or the order's cold. And that's another risk too. You get something that's the wrong order or it's cold and they have to credit it. So there's just inefficiencies all around. So congratulations to them. If you missed the show, check it out. It's always great to see how entrepreneurs are finding nuances to make everybody's life better and more efficient. And at the same time, like you said earlier, it has ecological impacts too. So it's a double whammy bonus when you have that, right?
For sure.
Okay, so we have 4 shows this week. What do we got coming up?
We do. It is an extremely busy week for us here on Dojo Live. First show will be happening tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific. That's the Design Thinking Show with Tulio as our host. And our guest is Jason Fairchild, who is the CEO and co-founder of TV Scientific. The topic there is the next massive growth channel for performance advertisers, CTV. Then on Tuesday afternoon at noon, we'll be speaking with Igor Weinberg, CTO of Tipalti. Automating is key to company success. Coming up Wednesday at noon is Tim Keeley, co-founder and CEO of Source Day, overcoming supply chain disruption with first mile technology. And then wrapping up the week on Thursday at noon will be Michael McCarthy, CEO of Inkit. Sensitive data meets document streaming, a new technology for enterprise businesses. Yeah, it's going to be a busy, interesting week.
If any of these topics interest you, just go to our site on dojo.live. And on each one of the shows, there's a calendar. Add to my calendar link. It's a nice little feature. And you can automatically add it to your calendar so you don't miss it. You can watch it live. But if you do miss it live, you can just go back to dojo.live and find all the recordings there forever. So come back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific for the design thinking segment. That's my favorite segment because we get to talk about everything: strategy, innovation, and people. The impact empathy has on developing great cultures and great products. So let's see what we learn tomorrow at 10 a.m. and come back. Be safe until then.